Hi, I'm Dave Ingebrigtsen, and I invite you to spend the next 20 minutes or so looking at this webinar that explains the ESNT training program and how it's the certification key for physical security technicians. The first question you might ask yourself is, why do I need to get certified? Well, our industry is changing from the analog world to the IP-based world, and technicians need to learn how to safely and properly connect devices, cameras, encoders, access control panels up to LANs and the internet. Need to learn how to do that, and the ESNT training program teaches you that. You're going to learn and you're going to earn, because the top physical security integrators are going to need people who know how to do networking of physical security devices, and the ESNT certification proves that you know your stuff when it comes to IP-enabled devices and hooking them up to local networks and the internet. Now, the ESNT program stands for Electronic Security Networking Technician. Our training process is a 2-day live class combining lecture, hands-on, connection of devices, and troubleshooting. Understand that our training is vendor independent. We are not teaching you how to use the products from vendor A or the products from vendor B. We are teaching you about networking, and the networking information and the knowledge you gain with the ESNT program is applicable to all devices that are IP enabled, that are made by all the manufacturers in the electronic security business. The certification that's provided is through the Electronic Technicians Association. You might say, who are they? The ETA is an independent, not-for-profit organization that does electronic certifications. They have about 1,200 different certifications that they do in various disciplines involving electronics. The ETA program, the ESNT program, being one of them. There's a lot more information available about the ETA at their website, eta-i.org, and I recommend that you go check them out. But understand that they're an independent organization that develops the curriculum, the testing materials, and it's what we train when we give you ESNT training. Now, a couple of words about our trainers. Ray Coulombe is a 30-plus year industry veteran. He has run and operated manufacturing companies in our business. He has been a consultant for many manufacturers. He carries a lot of Cisco certifications. He is extremely knowledgeable in networking and fiber optics, both large and small networks. And Ray is also an excellent instructor, and he knows his stuff when it comes to networking. Myself, Dave Ingebrigtsen, I am the technical writer for SDM Magazine. I've been in the electronic security business since 1977. I'm Network Plus certified, I'm ESNT certified, I'm fiber optic certified, and I've trained probably 4,000 technicians in the last 12 years that I've had my own company, which is Slayton Solutions. Now, we're going to talk a little bit about the ESNT training program in some detail. What does it mean? What are you going to learn? Well, first, understand that the curriculum that was developed was made by a committee of people from different vendors, manufacturers, distributors, and installation companies themselves. So all these people came together and came to agreement on what the curriculum should be, what should be tested, what's important knowledge. So this isn't just from one person or one company. It isn't their training. This is a consortium of intelligent people who came together to put together a training program for the physical security business, covering all aspects of practical networking that technicians need to know. Now, here are the course materials. You see it's in 9 sections. We're going to talk about what some of the training is here in a minute, but one thing I want to point out, in the lower right-hand side, you see the key topic. One of our goals in training you with the ESNT program is to give you the best possible ability to pass the written test, which is not an easy test to pass. So one of the things we've done in the handout materials you'll get is where you see a key topic and you see the 2 red stars. Well, that means that you probably want to study that closely, because you may see that information again coming at you when you take your written test. So we try to give you a leg up on taking the test so that you have the best possibility of actually passing the test. Now, one of the key components to our training is the classroom labs. This is where we do it live. We hook up devices, we program devices, we troubleshoot common network problems. And as part of your training, we provide you with a CD-ROM which has freeware that we use in the class for network scanning and for testing network devices, for Wi-Fi scanning. We provide this software to you, so this means you can take this software home, install it in your laptop or PC, and once you've had your ESNT training and you've got these software programs, you are ready to go the next day in networking these physical security devices, cameras, access control panels, etc. Now, networking is standards-based, and we teach to those standards because it's very important. We're going to start with the history, a little bit of history on how Ethernet was developed, but we're rapidly going to take you up to the modern day and how devices are connected and how networks work. But we train to the standards because the standards are important. It's the standardization that makes networking different for us in our industry from the previous methods we have used to connect cameras and control panels. The manufacturers in our industry, before networking came into it, everybody had their own protocols, everybody had their own cabling, their own way of doing things. Well, networking is standardized, and we're going to teach you about those standards. In networking, there's a lot of concepts that need to be understood. Those concepts are clearly displayed and demonstrated in the ESNT training program. Here you see we're talking about collision domains. We also talk about the broadcast domains. We talk about a lot of the concepts that are important to understanding networking. Concepts such as the TCP/IP protocol stack, how different devices, software and hardware, and addressing, how that all comes together into the Ethernet frame that is transmitted out over the network. In the next slide, you'll see where we start to marry up the addressing information, the IP address, the MAC address, the routers and switches and NIC cards, where they fit into the IP protocol stack, where they fit into the OSI model. So not only are you going to get practical information, but you're going to get the basics of networking knowledge that you need so that you'll understand what's going on when you're connecting devices up to local networks and to the internet. Now, one of our labs that we start off with is a packet sniffing software called Wireshark. This software shows you exactly the packets your computer is transmitting and receiving. It lifts the veil and shows you exactly what's going on with your computer, or it's also very handy as a troubleshooting tool in the event that you're having a problem with a camera, an NVR, or another type of device. We provide the software to you, and we show you how to use it in our ESNT training program. Now, the weakest link in any network connectivity is the cabling, copper, fiber, whatever it is. We spend a good amount of time talking about the proper way to cable, the proper way to terminate, how to test cables to make sure they're good, and emphasize that because up to 50% of network connectivity problems are cable and connector based. So we spend time on the cable and the cabling so you understand what's a good cable, what's a bad cable, and how do we make sure that we're using the good cables when we are connecting our devices up to the network. There's also an extensive discussion of fiber optics. Fiber optics is powerful, powerful technology to be used in our industry because you can send many, many camera signals, many access control signals can be connected on a single piece of glass that's thinner than a human hair, and it can be run up to 60 miles on a single mode fiber. So we're going to talk about multi-mode and single mode fiber, what their uses are, and how they're applicable in our industry today. And fiber is a very powerful thing to understand because if you do understand it, then you can go great distances, and better yet, there's 75 million unused fiber links in the United States. We are going to use those fiber links to connect our physical security devices, and we're going to save money, and we're going to save time, and we're going to give our customer the best possible system at the lowest cost because we're going to use existing cabling. They call it repurposing the cabling. We're going to spend time talking about that. We also talk about, in terms of fiber, how you can test it with a simple flashlight, or here you see an optical loss test set, or an optical loss meter, power meter, showing you how to test fiber devices. We give you this information in the ESNT training program. Now, another thing to consider when you're at the enterprise level is, do you want to share the network, have all your equipment on the same network as the enterprise network? And if you do, what are the security issues? One of the concepts we emphasize in ESNT training is the alternative or parallel network, where you set up your own separate network just for your physical security devices, but we use some of the existing cabling, or in this case, the existing fiber optics, so that we can go great distances and we can put the devices in the building, meeting industry standards for cabling distance, while using existing cabling to reduce the overall cost to the customer. So this is another technology, another concept that we emphasize in the ESNT training program. We also talk about alternative media. You don't have to use Cat5e. Ethernet can be carried on AC power line. It can be carried on coax cable. It can be carried on twisted pair that's not Cat5. It can be carried wirelessly. And we talk about these technologies and make you aware of them so that you'll see that there's alternatives to repurposing existing cabling to give us the connectivity we need for our cameras, our video encoders, our NVRs, and our other devices. We also discuss the importance of the VLAN at the enterprise level. With a VLAN or virtual LAN, you can connect physical security devices to the same network switches as the other enterprise devices are connected to. And yet with VLAN programming, now our devices are logically separated from the enterprise traffic. And this provides a much higher level of security, protecting our physical security devices from inside people who may want to try to hack into our devices through the local network. So VLANs are discussed in detail in the ESNT training program. Along with that, we talk about enterprise level networks in great detail, discussing 2- and 3-tier networks and how you've got distribution and core switches, and how we've got redundancy in the switches so that if there is a failure of a switch, we've still got a network that is functional. So you're going to learn these things when you take the ESNT training class. When we are putting IP cameras onto a network, or video encoders, whatever they are, we've got to store the video. And if we're going to store the video, put it onto hard drives, what do we do when that hard drive fails? We are going to present to you the concepts of RAID 1, RAID 5, and RAID 10 so that you will know how to do this so that when you are recording the video, it is duplicated. And if one hard drive fails, we haven't lost the important data that was stored from the video cameras or the video devices. Now, we spend a lot of time in the ESNT training talking about IP addresses, public and private IP addresses, both IPv4 and IPv6. This is critical for security technicians to understand the difference between a public and private IP address, to understand how to obtain those addresses even if the customer doesn't know what they are. We need to know what they are, and the ESNT training program shows you how to find these addresses and then what to do with them so that we properly address the devices we're connecting onto the customer's network. If our goal is to provide the customer with a device, say an NVR, that he or she can call from over the internet or over their iPhone, call into the local network and reach the NVR, we've got to deal with the firewall. And ESNT training discusses in detail how we set up firewall programming so that the device inside the local network, say it's an NVR, that we want to make accessible to the outside world is truly accessible and can be communicated to over the internet. We've got to reprogram the firewall, and ESNT training shows you how to do that. Another one of the labs we do is network scanning. We provide network scanning software for you, and that network scanning software is a really powerful tool because you can scan a network. It'll tell you every device that's active on the network at the moment you did the scan. Not only does it tell you their IP addresses, it tells you their MAC addresses. It can even tell you who manufactured the device. You see on the screen here where it says the top device is the Linksys group. It's a Linksys router, and it shows you the open ports in the device, the open software ports. So we're going to teach you how to use network scanning software to check out the network. You can also check people's networks remotely to make sure that the proper ports are open so that the devices that you've installed can be accessible over the internet. Now, if you want to give the customer the ability to call a camera, say the camera in the lower right-hand side of the screen, to call that camera over the internet, you have to be able to perform or program what is called NAT, or Network Address Translation. ESNT training explains this to you, and you will see how easy it is to put a camera on a local network and program the router and program the firewall so that an authorized user from outside the network who's on their iPhone or who is on an internet connection anywhere in the world, if they've got the address information and the username and password, they can go in and look at that camera, look at the pictures, access that NVR, whatever the device is that we've installed onto their network. Now, there are many ways that video can be transmitted. One of the common ways and a growing way to do it is what's called multicast. We explain multicast to you in ESNT training and explain the benefits of it, some of the drawbacks, and also, more importantly, what the network must be capable of doing if you want multicasting to work. So multicasting is covered in the ESNT training, as well as other methods by which to transmit video over the local network as well as over the internet. Now, one of the real benefits of IP devices is the ability to power them with PoE, power over Ethernet, where that 4-pair cable, that Cat5e, that goes out to the camera not only provides the connectivity with the Ethernet, but also provides the current to run the device. We explain this to you in detail, and you'll understand the limitations and the benefits of doing PoE. And PoE is a powerful tool for our industry because number one, it gives us a single cable going out to the device, saving money on cable. Number two, it centralizes the power issue, and if we can hook up to the customer's UPS, we will have some level of backup time. So PoE is covered in detail in your ESNT training class that you'll have. Now, most of the time when we talk to IT people about putting video devices like cameras on their network, they're concerned about the bandwidth. ESNT training is going to show you how to best set your cameras and or video encoders to give the best possible images with a reasonable amount of bandwidth being used. We're going to explain the differences, show you how to do it. We talk about different video compression formats, how they operate, and which formats to select based on what the desired result is in terms of the bandwidth, the frame rate, and the quality or the resolution of the image. We also show you and demonstrate what happens when things aren't going so well, and you'll see things like this during the class that show you what happens when packets are lost or there is communication difficulties with a particular device on a network. Now, another software we provide for you is a Wi-Fi scanning software. This software will scan for all the Wi-Fi access points that your computer can see at the point you initiate the test. This is important because our industry and our world is going more and more towards wireless, and we have to get comfortable with Wi-Fi and be able to use it with our devices. And the lab we do on Wi-Fi scanning, it shows you how this works and it shows you how it operates. Now, a big section of our training has to do with network security, not the security of the cameras and the door contacts and the access control, but the security of the data and the security of the communication in the network. We're going to talk about the common ways that hackers try to get into networks, such as social engineering, or ways that they attack the network using things like bad fragmentation, denial of service attacks. And then we show you the solutions. How do we protect our networks with our firewall, and what rules do we set? How do we set up intrusion detection systems so that we can see if somebody's trying to intrude into our network? Network security is very important, and it's a key block, learning block in the ESNT training program. We also demonstrate to you software that will monitor networks live, and it'll tell you if devices fail live or if there is a bandwidth problem in a particular link on a network, or if a device, if a foreign device has been added to the network. There are ways that we can monitor our customers' network, not just for our own equipment, but also for their equipment that they've got in place already. This is going to be a valuable selling feature that when we go out to our customers, we can say, yeah, we're going to put this stuff on your network. Oh, by the way, we're going to monitor your network, or you can monitor your network with products like this. And we're going to show you how these work and what their advantages might well be. Now, the ESNT training program is a complete training program. Hands-on, networking, and certification testing. We provide open classes. They're held regionally. You can check our website, SlaytonSolutionsLTD.com, where we'll have a schedule of the classes that we're holding. If your company's large enough and you'd like us to come and bring the training to your company, we welcome that opportunity. You are welcome to call us at 708-212-5150, or you can email at SlaytonSolutions@sbcglobal.net. I thank you for your time watching this webinar. I hope to see you soon at an ESNT training class.